HRBC show called Let's Talk. So today, our guest is the Honorable Lisa Lucas Burke, who is reclaiming her time to be the Portsmouth City Council woman again. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing well. How about everyone else?
I'm good. I'm good. So, you want to tell us a little about yourself?
A lot of people already know me, but I'll just go into the logistics of who I am. Of course, Lisa Lucas Burke, born and raised in the city of Portsmouth, educated in four of our Portsmouth public schools. Furthered my education at Norfolk State University, behold the green and gold, where I obtained two degrees, a Bachelor of Science in Electronics Engineering, a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. And I just recently, this year, was bestowed an honorary doctorate of humane letters from the Virginia University of Lynchburg. And I thought that was so honorable for them to do that. I previously served as chair of the Economic Development Authority. I was appointed by the City Council in 2010, way back then. And because I had a passion for seeing the city to be better than it was. And so I served on economic development for 6 years. Of those years were as chair. And then I decided that I would run for city council in 2016. So ran for council in 2016, served two terms for 8 years. So I consider myself an 8-year veteran of the city council. Also during that time, I previously my first job was as an working in the IT department with the city of Portsmouth. So I
Oh,
trained people on how to work with Microsoft Word and Excel and how to use the internet and how to become computer literate because back in the 90s, this was new to everyone. So I trained over 500 city employees on how to use the computer. So that was using my electronics engineering degree to work with people to be able to provide them access to the internet and those opportunities. So I did that for 13 years, and then I left to go with my family business of Lucas Lodge, where we provide services to adults with developmental disabilities in our
hmm.
community, and that is a passion heart service position for me. And I have been there for 26 years. So those 26 years with Lucas Lodge, my family business, and the 13 years with the city. When I was at Norfolk State obtaining my electronics engineering degree, I also had an opportunity to work as an engineer's aide with NASA Langley Research Center. So I've had some opportunities that have given me some great experiences to be who I am and to be the leader that our city needs today.
Okay. So, what made you want to run again?
Well, my past experience when I first ran for city council in 2016, I had a desire to build out the waterfront. Ever since I was a little girl, seeing a jail on the waterfront, city municipal building, I wanted to be able to see it to be something great because during that time when I was a young woman growing, we used to see Waterside and used to see the Inner Harbor and in Maryland. And I said that when I joined council, that was one of the things that I wanted to do was to develop that waterfront. So I'm running for reelection or to be back on the council because I believe that I bring experience, I bring perspective, I bring an institutional knowledge with 10 years on the economic, well, not 10 years, 6 years on economic development and 8 years on the city council. That's institutional knowledge for the city with things that have been done, things that have not been done. So I believe that me bringing my experience, my passion, my desire to serve, and to be able to see us build out a waterfront that will attract new residents and tourists and visitors will be the opportunity of a lifetime. And I just feel like I would be one of the most experienced persons to serve on the council to see that project through.
Okay. So,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on the proposed tax for school building maintenance?
Oh, when I heard that idea, I was like, oh man, here we go. I saw that some other Virginia localities have already approved it. Charlottesville, I believe Norfolk is adding it to their agenda as well. And then for us to be right there in the mix, I said, this is a great way because one of my platform issues is always education. Making sure that our Portsmouth Public Schools have the tools and the resources they need to create excellent students that will have career paths that will give them opportunities of a lifetime and then hopefully build opportunities for them to stay right here at home. So having that referendum with a 1% sales tax where not just the citizens, because it's not just a tax burden on citizens, it's anyone who visits our city to dine and to shop and to to pour into our revenue base. So I believe that it will be a healthy way to ensure that our schools get the funding that they need for school construction because we know that the schools in Portsmouth and our surrounding sister cities are 50 plus years old. I went to Lakeview Elementary School, and of course that was not yesterday, So we have aging school systems, and I think that this would be a way. I think the city estimated it to be about $13 million from that, and with the funding that we already give to our schools, I think this would be a great way for us to do some of that school construction without breaking just one pot of money.
Okay. So, the recent sewage spill on Douglas Avenue has the
Ooh.
citizens wondering where their money is going, especially since, water sewage prices keep going up. So, what would you do when approached by a citizen about this concern?
Well, I have been approached by citizens with this concern because when I was on council, I had a couple residents to say, Ms. Lucasburg, if you could just come by here, I mean, you would not believe it that, the smell of the sewer on Douglas Avenue, because I think there was some kind of plant or something on a street behind that was having issues with their infrastructure. And our aging infrastructure has been an ongoing issue. And I think that is something that the city really needs to take a strong look at on how we're funding. I think we need people who are good advocates, who could, advocate to our federal legislators in Washington and our state legislators in Richmond, that, hey, our city needs some help. Could we, get, some one-time money or some long-term money or some, some funding that could help us to repair and sustain our aging water system so that situations like this would not happen again. And it was ultimate. I mean, it was inevitable that this was going to happen because of the aging system. So, that would be my approach to it, to partner with our federal and our state legislators to make sure that we get the funding that we need, because that's not a drop in the bucket. It's not going to be just, a $10 bill here or there that's going to help fix it. It's going to take some long-term sustainable income. And I think we need partners at all levels of government to help us with this problem.
Okay. So, Portsmouth passed new laws about derelict structures. Now,
Mhm.
how would you help ensure these new laws aren't used to steal land from people? Because we're
Well,
kind of concerned about it.
I know there are some people, I mean, because we have these derelict structures and some of them do still belong to people. And I think while we're going through our build out for our innovation district, the link, that we would make sure that we identify who the property owners are. And when we're going into these new development opportunities, that make sure that they have a seat at the table. If you're a property owner and you have some ideas, of course, be transparent. The city can be transparent with them on what they want to see there. And I would hate to see it be an issue of eminent domain where they're just coming in and just snatching people's properties. I hope that they would be respectful for with them. And if there's an opportunity to give them a buyout or some kind of other incentive to do something with the land, I hope the city would be respectful in that manner, by sharing in that information so that homeowners or landowners and property owners would get an opportunity to at least know what's going to happen with the property and give them a fair chance to say that, I'll sell rather than just taking someone's property.
Okay. So, people in Portsmouth are in a panic since Fishing Point Wellcare stopped Medicaid services. Now, what would you say to your constituents that come to you with this concern?
Well, I was there for Fishing Point's grand opening, and it was a beautiful ceremony with the tribe, the Indian dance that was done, and so many people were happy about this service and needed the service. So, what I would say to residents who have that concern is, help us to find other partners that you can get services from. Because Fishing Point, although it being that it was locally, it was centrally located right there in the city of Portsmouth, and people enjoyed the renovations that were done in the building to go and to be able to receive those services. Help us to help you to be aligned with those services somewhere closer to where you are, and try to find out where the fail came happened, so that if Fishing Point is not the one to be able to offer the services there, the building is still there, then someone should be able to offer these opportunities, especially to our Portsmouth residents, because it's located right there in the city of Portsmouth. And I'm not so sure what all happened with the contract, why it failed, and why it's not there to be able to offer that. But a lot of our citizens do take advantage of the Medicare. But I would definitely be an advocate to help them to find suitable services that are close to where they live, so that they can have that continued service.
Okay. So, I live in Churchland, and as you know, they are making apartments.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it seems like my neighbors are really upset about that. I have no
Mm,
idea, but I can't speak for everybody.
right.
I'm okay, but they are concerned about the traffic, the schools, and all that other stuff. What would
Right.
you say to them?
Well, the city promised that they had done a traffic study and that it would not impact, the flow of traffic or make it too congested. And, I believe that, affordable housing is the American dream, and everyone has a right to be able to afford a home in their income level, whether it be apartment, townhouse, condo, whatever it is. And I think that that is a way that Portsmouth will be able to attract new residents, which helps us to build a stronger budget to be able to help our schools and to be able to help our public safety sectors. I believe that the city, has taken a good look at where new developments can come, and the Churchland area was a site that was selected by our Economic Development Authority. And I know the residents get comfortable with having all of this extra room and all of this extra space, and we don't want extra cars when we're trying to go to get our groceries, or when we're trying to go to our personal appointments out in the community. But I believe that there is enough room in our city to add, more affordable housing, more housing options, so that we can get more residents into Portsmouth, so that we can fix our aging infrastructure, like our water systems that are failing, that where, sewer is coming up out of the ground, and where our schools are suffering, to be able to get the funding that they need to build new schools and to open their programs, and so that those infighting, those situations don't occur with, do we give you the money or don't we give you the money, can we afford to give you the money or can we not afford to give you the money. So I believe that, bringing on that new housing, although it might be a little uncomfortable, I think it is a way for us to be able to bring new residents into the city. So those citizens who are having a little bit of bellyache, I think that after it's all there and it's beautiful and they have new neighbors, I think that they would be okay with the situations.
Okay. Now, here's my last question. You
Yeah.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If reelected, what are your top three things you hope to accomplish?
Well, okay. Well, adding to our economy, options for us to be able to attract new residents. So that's that build out of the waterfront that I had that dream way back when I was, first elected to the city council. So being a collaborative member of council, working with colleagues to make sure that we get do the right things, pick the right options that will attract residents to the city, and And also, recruit new members, new residents, new residents, old residents, tourists, all of that, because that's going to be able to add revenue into the budget for us to be able to do other things. My second top would be to support our Portsmouth Public Schools and their requests for funding, because a lot of times they don't get the funding fully that they need to fund teacher step increases along the way. A teacher might be coming in at a high rate, but at year 3 or 4 or 5, they lose that funding because we're not able to give those step increases in the middle. And then we lose educators because they decide to go to other localities that are offering them that higher pay in the middle steps. So to be able to fully fund our public schools is definitely a top priority for me. And then, of course, my last option would be, back at the affordable housing. So I want, once we have our waterfront built out and we have sustainable schools, families will choose to move here because we're back at that American dream option. And, we are one of the largest employers in the Hampton Roads region. We have the Norfolk Naval Shipyard, we have the Naval Hospital, we have our local city government where we have over 1,000, probably 1,500 employees. And then we have Rivers Casino that employs about 1,400 people as well. So we have, right there, 4 major hubs where people come into the city to work during the day, but they leave at night or after 5 because they choose to live in other cities with a more variety of housing options, housing stock. So I think that housing, affordable housing, adding more housing, that we're back to your neighborhood in Churchland, where we're adding housing that is all income levels. I think we need housing that's going to address our senior and our aging population. We need housing that's going to cater to our young professionals, and also the working class workforce development. And I think if we had those options, people would choose to live on this side of the tunnel rather than leaving every day, paying high prices, paying the cost of high tunnel toll costs that also cause issues with funding as well, because that's another bill for a lot of people who have to commute back and forth through that tunnel option. So those are my 3 options that I think that I would love to tackle right in the first year, of being back on the council.
Awesome. Okay. Well, those are all the questions that I have. Is there anything
Okay.
else that you would like to tell the people?
Well, I hope that people would look at me in this interview and feel the passion that I have to return back to the city council. For me, it's not just returning to a seat on the council. It is to be open. It is to be transparent. I want to be your voice for effective government. I've done the work before. People have seen me in action. Some people have their own perspectives of some things that may have happened in the past. I did run unsuccessfully for mayor in 2024. But a lot of people do that. A lot of people think that, that gives them an opportunity to advance. And of course, it wasn't successful, but it did give me an opportunity to rest and to reflect and to realize that I still have something to share with my city. And I still have a passion and a desire, and I have a perspective of what our city needs, and I have the experience to start on day one. So I hope that people will look at me and what I brought to the table and choose to return me to the table, because I want to be able to be a voice for effective government, and I want to be able to have an open listening ear that will give people an opportunity to have a seat at the table with me, being their advocate when decisions are being made. And there are a lot of decisions to be made in the city, and I want to be a part of that.
All right now. Okay. Well, that's all that I have, and we
Okay.
don't have any social media questions. So I
Okay.
want to thank you again for taking the time out to sit and talk with me and tell, the people all about you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this opportunity, and I applaud you and your program for taking on this task to meet all of these candidates who are running in this year.
All right, Nia.
Thank
So
you.
thanks, everybody.
All
Bye.
right. Goodbye. Take care.